All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 2 all afternoon. Bryan Hayes, Dog Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. How are we feeling? Beautiful Wednesday here in Toronto.
Finally, some good weather, fellas. Finally, some good weather. That's all you can say.
Out on the links, boys, or what? How are we feeling?
Well, I'm more prepared for the links down in the PGA Championship. I mean, that's really the concern today, is that we're gearing up for the second major. They've changed the schedule over the years, right? With the PGA used to be at the end. Now it's number 2, and I like that because it slides in before the U.S. Open and the Open Championship. But we got a big one today because Scotty Vail's coming up, who, of course, is a good Canadian boy and caddy for Keegan Bradley. He's going to join us later this hour from Louisville, Kentucky. We look forward to that. We'll have our picks today. Thinking a 5-pack, a Canadian. Someone suggested via Twitter, John Daly versus Michael Block.
Oh.
Someone's got to pick JD with his dart smoking on the range, and someone's got to pick Michael Block.
Let me just ask you this right off the hop. Right now, this second, who are you taking between those two guys?
I think I'd take Daly.
Daly, for sure.
I think so. I mean, Michael Block, it was a once-in-a-lifetime miracle, unbelievable run last year at a different course. It wasn't Valhalla. This isn't his home track. Like, you can find odds on him on FanDuel to make the cut, to miss the cut. And, like, it's huge juice. Like, to miss the cut's like minus 1,200 or 1,400 or something on FanDuel. Like, no one thinks this guy is going to replicate what he did last year. But he's back. You know, Michael Block is back. John Daly, he's won the PGA before. He's smoking cigarettes on the range. He's just having himself a great time. So
yeah, Rory's single. Rory's single.
Yeah. You think him and Eldrick hit the town last night? You think Tiger's got any old spots that he likes in Louisville from back in the day?
Are they
with Bobby
buddies,
May?
though?
Yeah, they're
buddies?
boys. They're really close.
Okay,
they're going to be better friends now.
Yes, now they're going to be the best of friends.
Can you imagine the bar play of those two, like in a Florida? Like, golf is massive there. Like, those guys walk around. And tour players, like professional athletes, that's kind of like Mitch Marner was not wrong with his comments, although it was weird he used that time to use them. But it's like a tour player shows up. It's like, everybody get out of the way, get off the first tee, get him what he wants to eat. And it's like, I can't imagine those two hanging out somewhere at a nice dinner or something. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Especially those two. Tour players,
yes.
One thing. Tiger and Rory is a completely different thing. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what the boys have in store, you know, on the course and off the course.
Tiger might have to keep his hat on, though. He might be in line for the rebuild. I thought I saw something the other day. Am I wrong? Like,
no, you're 100% right. It's been that way for about a decade, man. Tiger is, you know, he's morphing into his dad. Like, he looks like his dad, right? Like, his dad would have been a little bit older than he is now when he was coming up in the mid-'90s, but not far off. Yeah. And, Tiger might be in line for the scorched earth full salad rebuild.
Him and Todd Reardon. Who else?
We got to do the salad rebuild next week. I think next week we do the salad rebuild. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And we need some stuff, so let's do the salad rebuild.
Okay.
There's one guy, I think, and I didn't lay eyes on him in the Leaf series, but Shattenkirk, what did he do with his salad?
He went Messier.
He did the right thing.
In Anaheim. He was down. He was on the beach in Anaheim, and he said, "What do I think I'm doing? What am I doing here?"
Right.
And he took it down to the wood, man. Shattenkirk pulled the stage, you know, when he went to Anaheim. So there's a long list of, like, there's a full lottery, right? Like, you gotta the lottery.
That's what we'll do. We'll do top five. We'll do top five lottery picks. Lottery picks.
Yeah, no, it's a
Hayes,
lottery.
we'll decide. You can decide. We'll come up with our top 10 or 12, and you decide the lottery picks from 5 to 1. Okay. 1 is like real serious, and that's the first overall lottery
there's
pick.
probably someone out there that needs a salad rebuild that's like above and beyond others, that has like exceptional status, a generational talent in terms of, you know, a salad rebuild. And we might need like Bob McKenzie and Craig Button to break it down. We need Duffy on the desk. I mean, we'll really amp this thing up. So, yeah, well, that's coming your way in the next couple of weeks.
Could be a bracket, though. I feel
Could
like
be a bracket.
We could do like a solid rebuild bracket, like March Madness style, because there's enough people out there, especially in sports, like visible. And now you don't want to hurt feelings because I'm heading in that territory.
We got to know we all are heading there.
We all know what's up.
Right.
But there's some people, like I know a lottery pick right now is Bryan McCabe. Assface is a lottery pick.
No, because he's
then
he sent that picture, he's fighting back. Like
Caber's dropping.
He is so very good to us, Bryan McCabe. If I loop him into a group text and say, let me see the salad with you guys looped in, picks come within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I know, but he looks good.
He goes from behind, up top, and then the front, and he says it's getting better.
I'm telling you, man, he's in the green room, and he's falling in the draft. He's Aaron Rodgers in the green room because you're right. A year or two ago, Caber was a potential top pick. Yeah. But that hair is being revitalized.
You think the fertilizer he put in is his Laramie Tunsil?
Yes. Yeah. He's got Scott's turf builder up there, and everything's coming together. And I love it for Caber because it's moving in the right direction. And he's a part of the Panthers organization, so I don't know, maybe he's on his way back to Boston, right? Because credit the Bruins for surviving last night, and there's something about this Florida team. It's not like they're a perfect team, Like I really like the way they're built. I appreciate the way they play. I think they've got a real chance at winning a Stanley Cup. Those are not hot takes. Everyone, I think, sees it the same way. But it's not as if this is the 77 Montreal Canadiens or 85 Oilers or something. They can be beat, and Boston got them. But I feel like Florida, it's like they need their back up against the wall to really give you their best stuff. It's like they need some reason to be pissed off, and maybe them losing Game 5, that's what's going to happen. Albeit they had a chance. They had a chance last night. But that series goes back to Boston, and it's 3-2. And then, you look the other way. What a finish in Edmonton last night. Yeah. And the Oilers, I don't think they stole one because it shouldn't have ever been 2-2.
Yeah, they deserve to win that game.
They deserve to win the game, but, man, they are playing with fire. Both teams are. Yeah. Like, it's been a pretty wild series so far.
I wanted to – let's go back to the Boston-Florida thing because I wanted both your opinions on – like, Mo, I thought, went over the top last night trying to draw attention to himself and not to his team. Because they didn't talk about anything other than him just swearing and yelling, and then he put a bit of a show on and then got up and walked away. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's a coach trying to draw attention. Hey, look at me. Don't look at my team losing and not having a great effort tonight. We'll rebound. And then, I don't know, our boy Monty, he was a meme behind the bench.
Did you see some of the body language on Montgomery last night?
He was doing some weird stuff.
he had
his three-piece suits.
He had the back torque faking that he was diving.
Yeah.
And you could read his lips saying, watch it. It was a dive. He was yelling to the ref. But right away, I rewound it 10 times and was dying laughing because I'm like, that is a meme. Somebody's going to put music to that. Like, you know how the internet works. And it was just both coaches were putting on a show for, I don't know. I mean, listen, they're playing for keeps. They're deep in the second round. But, like, Monty was just coaching the hell out of that team, and Mo was just trying to fire his up. It was crazy.
Yeah, you're right. And, after the game in Vancouver, I guess you could say the same thing about Rick Tocchet, but I'm not sure how manipulative that's supposed to be or how, pre-planned it is. I think that's just him shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
And, he had some pointed comments.
Oh, yeah. When he said you can't win with 12 guys, you know the guy he's talking about.
Well, he's got comment. He had a specific comment about Pettersson. We'll get to that. And then a comment about, six or seven guys. That's a third of your team that's dressed. Yeah. Let's begin with the Passengers comment because he didn't actually name names here. Here's Rick Tocchet after the game talking about his team.
Well, it's a will to get the puck. It's not X's and O's. It's a will. There's times there we have some guys, the puck where it's going to go. You just got to get there before the other guy. And I think we're pausing. Some guys are playing pause hockey, and you can't win if you have 5 or 6 passengers or 7. I don't know how many it was. We'll take a look, but there's at least a half a dozen just passengers tonight. quite frankly, that's what it was. But saying that, that's playoff hockey where the next game's a new game. So some of those guys can be a hero for us. So they got to step it up.
Yeah, I like that last comment, and he's right. Like, what are you going to do? Sit 6 guys, 7 guys? Yeah. That's not going to happen. You're going to need them. And, Pettersson, he was even more pointed on Pettersson, and we'll get to that comment in a moment. But I've noticed, everyone's got a different viewpoint on everything. And, specifically when it comes to hockey and the protection of stars. I think that's something that happens in Canadian markets in particular, because you're so drawn to stars and you're so drawn to salary caps and contract negotiations. And Pettersson represents all of that this year. He's not, his line mates aren't great. His line mates haven't been putting up big numbers.
Right.
But for me, that's a complete cop-out, because Pettersson, I haven't seen him do anything really at any point, including in the National Series, where he has looked anywhere close to the player that he is capable of being and the player he's established as an NHLer, and a player that was worthy of a massive contract, the largest contract in Canucks history.
Wouldn't you think he would have snapped out of it by now?
That would be my concern. And another reason why it should be even more hyper-focused now than it would have been after game 1 or 2 or 3 against Nashville is you're that much closer to the prize. Right. Like, you're 2 wins away from a conference final, man. You're 2 wins away from being one of the last 4 teams standing. That is a massive accomplishment. And the idea that, sure, you got passengers, and that's never acceptable. But if you have a passenger on the 4th line, you can bury it. Maybe you can survive it. If you have a passenger on your 3rd D pairing because Soucy's not in, well, you can replace that. You cannot have a player of the status of Elias Pettersson be a passenger.
No,
and anyone letting him off the hook, I can't understand that for the life of me. I mean,
if memory
he
serves
deserves
me correctly,
all the criticism
guys,
he's getting.
There was bubble Demko, but I think Pettersson was sick in the bubble too. Like, he was dialed in and, like, unbelievable. And he is just a ghost out there, and I can't figure it out. And I don't know if Jimmy Rutherford is different now that he's been around for a while, but I know if that was me, he'll have a meeting. Like, most GMs will be like, Coach will deal with it. He'll be like, let's have a little chat here, because what you're doing out there is just not good enough. Trust me, I had a bunch of mine, and I don't know if he still would do that, but he does not take that lightly. That would not go over well with him.
No, but if you're Vancouver, so I was trying to make a case for both sides, because it's a best of 3, and really it's a coin flip. I know Edmonton is, I believe, Hayes, you can look into it, slightly favored or whatever,
yep.
Right? But you can make a case for both organizations moving forward. So let's look at Vancouver. They're on their 3rd-string goaltender. I thought he was really good again last night, played very, very well. Game-winning goal goes through the body, but, I mean, you got 2 of his own players that don't block that shot. To me, Vancouver looked like they were ready for overtime, and Edmonton's like, hey, let's try and finish this right now. Vander Kane did a great job, creating that separation. But Pettersson hasn't had his goods. Like, if he decides to wake up, or if he finds a way to wake up, JT Miller called himself out last night, so he's going to have a response. They've had guys who are really quiet, Lafferty, Mikheyev. That guy's been,
Lafferty,
guys like that, they haven't really put up points. Pettersson has 1 goal. Other than that, he has no points.
Exactly.
So if you look at it, there's a silver lining if those guys can get going. That being said, same thing in Edmonton. There's still room for McLeod, for Fogle, for Kane, and, all of that group. Corey Perry, guys who have been there, had some experience outside of, 29 is on another planet right now.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's what Pettersson needs to do. Like, yes, right. Lafferty and Mikheyev and McLeod and those.
And he's good enough, Hayes.
But
no
one expects
enough.
them. Exactly. Like, if you're relying on Sam Lafferty or Mikheyev or McLeod to drag you somewhere, that's not going to happen. But, Draisaitl, like that play off the wall in the power play is the most lethal play in the National Hockey League. There's nothing even close to it. Like last night, McDavid drags to the middle, and Draisaitl doesn't miss. I mean, it's Ovechkin in his prime. That's
right.
what Ovechkin did on the other side. He doesn't miss. He's already done it multiple times in this series. He did it twice in Edmonton, both games. He does not miss. The pass he made to Bouchard was outrageous for him to put some zip on it, but there was touch behind it to get through that many bodies and sticks, and give Bouchard a chance to get it on net. Draisaitl's the best playoff performer in the league. That has been established for a few years. That includes McDavid. He is a bigger game player than Connor McDavid. He is the best playoff performer there is today. And yet he needs his team to help him get to the promised land.
Right.
He can do all he can do. Leon Draisaitl, at some point, someone else is going to have to do it. Multiple guys are going to have to do it. And I'm not even talking about just Vancouver. I'm talking maybe Dallas in the next round, and Florida, and New York in the Cup final. It can't just be Draisaitl. But Pettersson, Draisaitl's a better player. Draisaitl clearly has more playoff history, and he has proven who he is in the playoffs. But Pettersson should be in that conversation. Like, he can't you blending in with the McLeods and the Mikheyevs and the Perrys, like, that's just simply not good enough. And yet they're tied 2-2. And there's been positive news on Demko. You know, Tocchet said it today. Over the last 72 hours, he's been a lot better. Now, that's going to be an interesting conversation because Silovs been really good. You know, and it's been good enough to be in a position where it's the best 2 out of 3 to see who gets to the conference final.
Did he provide an update on Demko? Like, what?
Just said he's getting better. Like, it sounds like I doubt he plays Game 5, but if they get to Game 6 or 7, maybe he's available. And what a conundrum that's going to be. Because based on status and based on talent and ability, if Demko's at 100%, that's your guy. But if he's at 80%, and, like, what if you win Game 5 and then Demko's available Game 6? How do you possibly put him in?
Well, I know what Noodles
I don't think you
would say,
can.
Hayes. I know what Noodles would say, Hayes. Would you play Demko at 80% or Silovs mean yeah?
I mean, it's
hard.
hard.
Who would you play? Who would you play, Hayes?
I would play Silovs if he wins Game 5.
No, I'm playing Demko at 70% over Silovs.
Silovs has been really good, man.
He has been great.
You should be glad. Like, that guy's been a rock star, man.
You're right.
He's been really good.
But Demko is.
I understand who he is.
He's a Vezina finalist. He's
also
flat out a
been
Vezina
hurt a lot.
finalist.
Noodles,
right.
question goes
for
to
the last 2
you.
months.
You gotta. Rick Tocchet walks in your office right now where you are, Noodles, and says, "You're making the call on this, Jamie. It's Demko at 75 or Silovs me. Yeah.
For which game, though? Because I think even if he's available tomorrow,
Let's call it Game 6.
Okay, but who's winning? That's the other thing.
Vancouver wins Game 5. They're up 3-2 in the series. You can close in Edmonton Game 7. Demko says I'm good to play.
I think you could go with Demko, and here's why. Because he gets another opportunity if he loses that game in Game 7. You can give him one more.
This guy loves Silovs, man.
I love Silovs,
Who doesn't
too.
love
Listen,
Silovs?
he's been great.
Demko hasn't played in 2 months.
I know, but he played right near the end of the year. Like,
He played a game or two and then got hurt again.
Yeah, but he's that good. Like, you're not. I know it's a different position. I know you ride the hot hand. I would say if it was Game 5 at Silovs, no matter what. Like, if Demko says to Tocchet today, I can play tomorrow. Okay, let's give you a couple extra days. I want to see how Game 5 unfolds. Okay. Silovs coming home. Game 6 is a different story because you've got 2 cracks at it. If you win, you kind of expect to, maybe lose on the road and go back at home and win in Game 7. Like, I think you would give Demko 2 cracks at it. Silovs gets the next game for me. Like, that's and he'll start tomorrow, but I don't think that he's going to be in a position. I think they're selling it, but I don't know if Demko will be 100% available to them.
Sure.
I think they're
the next round. Then obviously you go to Demko.
Yes,
if you get through and Demko's ready for Dallas, you play him. Of course you do. But I don't know. Silovs he's been steady for you. He's been healthy. Demko hasn't been. I don't know what kind of rust Demko's going to have. There's a lot that would be up in the air there. But going back to Vancouver, tied 2-2. So it was a wild third period last night. All right, Scotty Vail coming up later in the hour. Corey Schneider, he knows what it's like to play big games for Vancouver.
Yep.
He's coming up. He'll join us in about an hour. His take on that series, the Boston series. You only got one game tonight. You've got Dallas and Colorado, and obviously Colorado looking to survive, so we'll look ahead to that. Adam Oates was on the Strickland and Jansen podcast with some really interesting commentary about the Marner, Nylander, Matthews bench blow-up, whatever you want to call it. We'll play that audio. We will discuss it. Role play level of concern in just over an hour. And the Jays just got walked off in the ninth. Jordan Romano Gave up a 2-run bomb to Adley Rutschman of all players. Rutschman, that kid is so good, and he's going to be a J killer for the next decade. And Romano was linked to the Orioles as a possible trade piece prior to this series, and he blows a save this afternoon. They had that game. So more on what happened this afternoon down in Baltimore as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Scott Vail later in the hour. Caddy for Keegan Bradley. PGA Championship beginning tomorrow. We've got our picks later this afternoon. Got a few options for the slide today. I thought we might start the old sliding into the DM skit that we came up with a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I got a few options there. We got role play level of concern. Yeah, there's a lot of them here. So we'll see what kind of mood we're in a little bit later on.
Yes.
Love it.
The NFL schedule is slowly coming out. You see Netflix got in the States on the Christmas Day game.
That's huge.
Well, that means the NFL now has CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, Amazon, and Netflix. Like, that's who they work with in terms of dates. Amazon.
How did they weasel in? How did they weasel in the Christmas? Like, wasn't that a mutual thing with the NBA? Like, that's our date. They finally just
they just said, screw it, we're taking it. And I feel like it's a Wednesday this year. It is. So I don't even know how that's going to work in terms of, like, that's not even a short week. Sunday to Wednesday, I don't think that's possible because they've announced Chiefs-Steelers is the 1 p.m. game. Ravens-Texans is 4:30. So right in the middle of the day. I'm not sure why you wouldn't have a primetime game on Christmas night.
All of it.
Yeah. Why not have a third game? Like, just do what you do on Thanksgiving. That's what people are going to be. Once you're into football, you're watching football.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing the Christmas stuff in the morning, maybe a little brunch, and then it's
and
all
that's
right, I
it.
guess we'll watch football. Why not watch
cash
football?
Cash is king, though. I can't imagine what that deal looks like financially.
Oh, it'll be massive.
Yeah, and
it'll be
Netflix
massive.
can afford it. So
I might explain why the Brady roast, although Brady's working for Fox. I don't know. Everyone's in it together. But Christmas Day is Chiefs, Steelers, and then Ravens, Texans. So, like, that's bringing the heat. If you're Netflix, you're like, I'll pay money, but I want Mahomes. All right, we'll give you Mahomes.
Like mandatory Mahomes, not doing it without it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there you go. And the Thanksgiving games are out. Bears, Lions at 12:30. It's funny how the Lions, all of a sudden, everything changes. Remember, I was canvassing for years saying, get the Lions off the 12:30 game on U.S. Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. No one wants to see it. Now I'm dying to see that game. Bears, Lions, Giants, Cowboys in the afternoon, and then Dolphins, Packers. I love it. The Packers are playing on U.S. Thanksgiving.
Hayes, if you had an option, if you were one of the execs, and they said, we'll give you Cowboys or Mahomes, knowing what Cowboys Nation represents, what are you taking?
Cowboys.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Just how much they move the needle.
I'll give you. I'll give you a local one. Prime time, 7 p.m. Saturday night. Leafs or McDavid? Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Leafs.
Exactly, and that's what it is. Like, as big as Mahomes.
And by the way, don't shoot me a tweet saying you're a goof and you're Toronto.
100% accurate. If you run a TV network and you would take McDavid or Mahomes over the Cowboys and Leafs, you're an idiot. The brand is bigger. The fan base is bigger. The draw is bigger.
Bigger reach.
It just is.
That's good business. Like, that's actually, it shouldn't be a debate. Even though everyone wants to watch McDavid, everyone wants to watch Mahomes, those brands are bigger than life. Doesn't matter who plays for the team. It's the brand. That's what it is.
Right.
Like, to me, like, that's the Cowboys and the Leafs. They're the ones who move the needle because they have the biggest, loudest fan bases.
Exactly.
That's the way I see.
Yankees or Mike Trout? Yankees. Like, you can do it for every single league.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, Lakers or Giannis. Lakers. Like, that's just the way it goes. The biggest team brand with the biggest fan base and the biggest media coverage, those are the true needle movers. Now, ideally, you get both. Like,
right.
What would it cost you to have Mahomes, like the Chiefs versus the Cowboys? That's a grand slam, man. You get Mahomes and Dallas. It's just like when McDavid rolls through Toronto that one time. It's a special buzz. Noodles, you and I were down there. There's nothing like it. Like when McDavid's in town and it's Leafs Oilers on a Saturday night, there's no bigger ticket. It's as big as it gets. But the best part about the NFL schedule being revealed is now you see the teams that just don't get any primetime love. and their fans.
Who are those teams? Just like nothing.
Well,
Indianapolis,
Tennessee.
Isn't that Al's brother's team? Indy.
Al's brother loves the Colts. Yeah.
Like, how the hell do you come up with that? Like,
I have no idea.
And Mike Skrzniak loves the Tennessee Titans. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It is weird. We have friends that have. Now, randomly, my 6-year-old, I think I told you guys this, loves the Chargers. And
you
Justin
get
Herbert.
Him off that, man. He's young
but
enough
I don't know
you can
how
get him
that
to change
happened.
his mind.
Like, I don't know how that happened. He's like, I need a Chargers jersey, and Justin Herbert's my guy. I'm like, you're 6.
Yeah.
And he wants to go to a game. And I'm like, I'm not taking you all the way out there. Like, for a game, we'll go to the Bills. Like, let's go watch the Bills. Like, let's go the Giants or, something close we can get to.
Maybe
right?
he's actually brilliant. He wants to go to L.A. It's
Fair
all
enough.
just about working on you and being like, by the time I get to, 16, can we go to SoFi?
Yeah,
Get to L.A. and hit a game. But, yeah, the sched is slowly starting to come out. But, again, the NFL is kind of working with everyone. I mean, although someone just tweeted in and brings up a good point, that it's not just Mahomes anymore. It's the Swifties as well, because Taylor Swift and Kelsey. Do you think that carries over another year?
You think it's factoring into decisions, Hayes? Like what we just talked about, fan bases and needle moving?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think she brought in a lot of eyeballs.
Big
I think
time.
That was factual. Like, I just don't know. Like, I know they're still together, or to my knowledge, they're still together. Does that carry over to next year?
I think
when she
so.
shows up week 4 to a game, Kansas City's playing Vegas. Is that
she's
still
that
a
big?
big thing?
It happened. Like, she's just that big. As soon as you say, "Oh, it's going to fizzle," she will be like, even if they stay together through next season, she will be shown every damn time. There's just no other way around it. She's that big.
You know what? I rescind, because when you said Mahomes or the Cowboys, I forgot about the Swiftie.
So did I.
So I'm going Mahomes and the Cowboys.
Okay.
Because
The
I think the Swifties have a lot of power right now, because they're bringing in new eyeballs. Like I say, my daughter, who's not a football fan, 11 years old, couldn't wait to watch the Super Bowl with her Travis Kelce jersey on, face painted, just waiting for one glimpse of Taylor.
Yeah.
That was it. And that's a whole different dynamic. So I changed my vote on that. I think
so
it's
you're
the
on
Swifties.
the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable. I'd still go Cowboys, but not by much. I mean, that's a superpower. She started dating Dak Prescott or something. That's when you're talking just you have a monopoly over everything. She's dating a Cowboy at some point. Look out. The Cowboys will be playing primetime every single week.
Yeah.
17 primetime games for the Cowboys. But Caitlin Clark made her debut last night. She hit 20 points. I had the over 19.5. She had 10 turnovers.
Yeah, wasn't that a record too?
Yes, it was substantial. But here's the thing, and we know the build-up towards her, debut in the WNBA, and a lot of former players are pouncing on her, and a lot of people are doubting her and saying, you'll see what happens when you get there. She's a rookie. Like, of course it's going to be tough. The WNBA is as high as it gets.
Yeah.
It's the best league in the world. So what were you expecting? Caitlin Clark to show up and put up 50 every night? I think it was disrespectful to the league and the players that play in the league for anyone to think that she was just going to show up and be the best player immediately. Yeah. I mean, how many young players show up and fail early in their careers?
I expected that, Hayes.
Every sport.
I thought she was, and we're talking about one game, but I thought she was going to step in there and dominate, and it was, but maybe that girl was white. That was right. That trash talked her and said she's not coming into this league and dominating right away. This is a great league, and I don't know why she felt the need to trash talk her, but it is one game, and she might dominate the next.
She'll
the
have
next
her
game.
moments.
Yeah, she's fine,
undoubtedly she's so good, but I guess I'm just saying you see it in every other sport. We just saw with Jackson Holliday, the number 1 prospect in baseball, came up and he went like 1 for 40 and they sent him down.
Yeah.
Do you think that guy's going to suck now? No. Because Caitlin Clark had 10 turnovers. Now she's going to be a disaster and a bust. No, it's a tough league. It's a tough sport. You're dealing with pros now. You're dealing with grown women that are like
best of the best.
Best of the best. Come get some. It's not going to be easy for her.
I didn't like the one exchange. It looked like at halftime one of her teammates was tuning her up on the way in.
Yeah, that
That
did
was
seem a little bit strange.
I was like,
That looked
all
like
right,
somebody that knew the cameras were on and said,
right.
I gotta get in here.
I'll take you under my wing.
because it was like, and she was pushing back on her too, going like, I don't know what they were saying, but it looked like there was somewhat of a spirited exchange there. I was
agree.
like, all right, like, knock it off.
Oh,
And
she's a rookie, man. You guys know what it's like with rookies.
I
like
know,
you
but-
gotta chew on it. Like it doesn't matter how big you are, they'll knock you down a peg or two.
Yeah.
You know, if you're walking into a room and there's veterans that have established it, you're gonna have to wait your turn and possibly just chew on that. I saw that too, though. That was funny.
I kind of chuckled to myself. I'm like, really? Like
Yeah.
that early on?
Come on over here.
Teammates,
It was basically a full headlock. Like
kind of had her arm, like kind of grabbed her
I'm
arm
gonna
and
lean
was like,
into
you
and
need
tell
to
you
do
exactly
this.
why you're causing us problems and we're losing at the half because of you.
They lost big too.
They did, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they're not that good of a team. I mean, they have Caitlin Clark, and that's why they had the first overall pick. All right, Corey Schneider coming up. Role play level of concern. We're going to try out the slide today. We got a number of opportunities there for the slide. We got Scotty Vail coming up, PGA Tour picks as well. The PGA Championship down at Valhalla starting tomorrow. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Corey Schneider just after 5 o'clock. Role play level of concern at 5:30. Scott Vail coming up. Good Canadian boy. Keegan Bradley's caddy. And when I was down at Augusta, I saw Scotty, and he was rocking the white jumpsuit, no shirt underneath.
And you said numerous buttons undone. Noodles, you'll have to ask him his thoughts on the Leafs, what he thinks of that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't.
Jeez.
Scotty's a big Leaf guy.
I don't know if he.
What if he
maybe,
shoots
I
from
don't
the
know.
hip? What if he's just like, they gotta blow this? You know, what if he's just
Great.
like
Scott from the Parkway joining us now. Hey, Scott from the Parkway. What's up, Scotty? Just have him tee off on the Leafs.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I don't know about you guys, I'm waiting for the email to come in. You know, Craig Berube's been hired, or, I mean, it feels like Berube's going to be the guy, but they're interviewing other people, and, you know,
What are
Tom
the
McCullen's
odds?
out there. And
I see there's been odds out there, but like he's the leading guy, right? Like I think Berube's like favored, but I don't know. Maybe they come out of left field with something else. You know, it's just at this point, if you've gone through the process, what does it hurt to wait another couple days to see if other potential candidates pop up out of nowhere? You know?
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that would be anyone other than Rod Brindamore if he's willing to leave. I don't think he is. I mean, I
That
think
would
he
be
wants
the
to
only
stay in
hiccup,
Carolina.
boys. That would be the only hiccup. It's like, I don't know how these things go on behind the scenes, but it's like the best coach's hockey is going to be available. You got to look into it. You're
Yeah.
crazy not to look into it. You got to do your due diligence.
Well, and that's, you know, Joel Quenneville is obviously a name out there that we haven't discussed a lot because I don't get the impression that he's even in the running. But, you know, you'd have to get clearance from the league before you could interview him. But
Right.
I wonder if they would even do that unless you're pretty much locked in on hiring him. In other words, like once you ask the league, if the league gives you a green light and says, yes, he can be reinstated and coach again, and then you're going to interview him but not hire him, like why would you do that if you're the Leafs? I would think the two of them would be connected. It's like we want Joel Quenneville. Our ownership is fine with Joel Quenneville. We're going to ask about it, and if he gets clearance, then he's going to be our guy. But I don't get the sense like that's happening, or the Leafs are even really digging into that idea. Corey Schneider in about 20 minutes. And again, role play level of concern at 5:30. The PGA Championship beginning tomorrow on TSN. We'll have our picks later in the hour. And someone's taking Keegan, right? Someone's got to take Keegan. I might have to take him. I'm leaning towards taking him in our picks. And to chat about Keegan Bradley, the course, among many other things, here's Keegan's caddy, good Canadian boy, Scott Vail. How you doing, Scotty?
I'm great, boys. How you guys doing today?
We're doing well. We were just talking about your Leafs. You know, you got an idea on who you think should be behind the bench moving forward, or what?
Well, I'm hoping the Hurricanes lose tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Not a good start for Scotty. We lost him. We'll have to try to get him back. I don't know where he is. Is he in the clubhouse down there? Is he?
Maybe he's under the first tee stands.
He could be. Is that usually the move? I don't think they're as tight with like rules and regulations at the PGA Championship as they would be at Augusta.
Like no phones? Is like the guys allowed phones? Like what's the ruling on that?
I think
like
it's only Augusta, the only place on earth you can't bring your phones in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally the only place. Like because everywhere else, guys have their phones. Like they turn them off, but
right.
They're in their bag generally. You can see them on the first tee looking at their phone right before they tee off.
That's what I mean. Like, have you ever seen a guy like about to tee off or just teed off and he's like texting, like walking?
I'll bet
up
you
the
guys
fairway?
that are way out, like trunk slamming and know.
I think
done.
you're allowed to make flight arrangements.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're on the back nine on Friday and you're 12 shots off the cut, you're on Expedia. Yeah, I gotta get some flights out. All right, Scott Vail back with us. Can you hear us, Scotty?
I can hear you, boys. I'm enjoying hearing this, but you guys can't hear me.
No, we got you, man. We got you now. Yeah, we were just wondering about the phone rules. You know, like Augusta, obviously that's totally different. No one can have a phone on the property. But what's the deal with phones in the bag, caddies, players? When let's say you're playing the PGA Championship, are you allowed to have your phones?
I mean, guys have their phones; they don't have them on them. But I've seen cases where guys have been missing the cut or about to miss the cut on a Friday, and I've seen them pull out their phone and text their agent and get me out of here ASAP. and I know for a fact, Keegan and I, we have some fun on the golf course during the NFL round. So on our college football or NFL, we're not afraid to pull out the phone and check on a sports score every now and again.
I love that. I love that. Like you're just feeling it. You're in contention, but you got some cash on the Cowboys to cover 4.5. Like I would have checked
Sometimes
that out.
we need something to get our mind off the golf course.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, mind tricks. That's probably important, right? Like I'm curious how you and Keegan and other players you've worked with in the past. Like, how do you prepare for a major championship? Is it once you arrive on the grounds, it's all business all the time? Do you try to get each other laughing? I mean, how do you prepare for once you finally tee off tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, usually, with Keegan in particular, we play 9 holes each day and just do a lot of our workout on the golf course because that's where it's needed mostly. A lot of short game stuff. In particular, this week, there's really no tricks to the golf course from tee to green. And so we do a lot of chipping, a lot of putting, and various things around the green. This week we can use lasers as well, so that's always nice. So it's a little bit extra weight in the bag, but it's nice to have a laser to shoot things and to look at things up by the green. So it's a little bit different, but it's nice.
Scotty, what challenges does the Tiger effect have out on the golf course with your guy? I know everybody wants to put eyes on Tiger, but like people moving after he hits and wanting to go to the next tee, what kind of challenges is that?
Yeah, do you know what? Keegan's he's not fazed by that stuff, so I don't even. Sometimes I'll be on crowd control and stuff like that, but with Tiger's crowds, you're fighting a losing battle. So some guys can hear a pin drop and somebody move in their swing. Keegan doesn't. He's not fussed about any of that. Like if I were to stop a golf cart in the distance because it was distracting him, he'll just say, "Scott, don't worry about it. It's good. We're good." So he won't be fazed by that. He doesn't mind all that, and I'm sure he'll be excited to play with Tiger. Given the magnitude of playing with him and what it's like to be around him in the crowds and stuff, he'll be able to feed off that stuff. So I'm sure he'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you guys tee off 8:04 a.m. tomorrow with Tiger and Adam Scott. We're chatting with Scott Vail, caddy for Keegan Bradley. And I guess, to O's question and O's point, it's probably worse if Tiger's the group behind you or group ahead of you, right? Like at least these crowds, yes, they're all compiling and there's supposed to be like 200,000 people showing up or something, but they're there to watch your group. So that's probably helpful, right? Knowing that it's going to be electric. Like there's going to be a huge buzz out there tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. It's a good point you say. Behind Tiger's group, the one behind it, you always get in front of it or behind Tiger, you get the distractions, people arriving on the scene, a half a hole early to see him. And then as soon as, when you're behind him, as soon as he's gone and left the green, as soon as he putts out, the crowds will be gone. They don't care about Keegan or Adam Scott, so it'll be, it'll be a little bit of a challenge. But I laugh about things like that. I thought they were out here to see us. What's going on here, guys?
Right.
Wait a second, guys. Come on.
Scotty,
So
you've been around and
I love it.
you've been around and seen it all, Scotty. Like the Tiger effect back in the day when he was dominating, and Scotty's kind of doing that right now. Scotty Scheffler, like, how different is it, or how far away is Scotty Scheffler to being even close to what Tiger was doing back in the day?
Do you know what? It's an interesting question you ask. A couple of months ago, I said to, quietly to some friends back home and guys I know that this Scotty Scheffler's got a chance to really do some serious damage now that he can, putt it average or even above average. And, back in the day, I can remember particularly the one time I worked for Brant Snedeker, and we were in the final group with him in the third round of the playoffs in like the third event. And like the effect that he had back in the day before, everything, broke loose with his personal life. It was different. He was, he'd get to the range. He wouldn't talk to anybody. You would just like, you were walking on eggshells around him, just looking at him, Scotty doesn't have that same effect, but I mean, he does his effect on the golf course, and he's just so dominant on the golf course. It's a different feeling. And Scotty he chats with everybody. He's such a great guy. He's, not as exciting to watch because he's hitting it in every fairway. He's hitting it on every green, or he's hitting it close. Tiger would, win golf tournaments, hitting 30% of the fairways. And, we'd always say, if you're gonna miss it like Tiger, way out where the crowds walk, so you can, have a clear lie and a clean shot to the green or something. So different, but it's impressive what Scotty Scheffler's doing and how humble he is, and he's just such a nice guy to be around.
Is this caddy drive up in a Lamborghini, Scotty? Because Scheffler's caddy is just rolling in cake right now.
Well, I've been saying to the boys the last couple of weeks, we're racking our brains, doing rough estimates of how much he's made. I'm like, when's he going to start flying net jets and, throw a few of the boys on the plane and, maybe we ask a couple of players to join us. Come on, let's go. Teddy's flying us, net jets from, here to Dallas or something next week.
Scotty, I never figured that out. Like, the players, if they're flying and they're in close proximity to their caddy, why don't they put their caddy on the bird with them? I don't get it.
Do you know what? A decent amount of them do. A lot of them do if they're, sharing it and they've got room. And I was fortunate enough, even Sunday from Wells Fargo in Charlotte, to hop on board with Keegan, and he split a flight with Matt Fitzpatrick. So, and both those guys, they bring their caddies. If, it makes it easier for us. I'm available to work Monday morning with them and get in, and at a decent time instead of getting in at 1 a.m. and, sleeping 4 hours or something. So I'm lucky. Keegan was nice enough to bring me along, but yeah, some of them don't. But those guys, some of the caddies don't want to be on the plane with their players. They'd rather drive 8 hours than fly the hour and get away from them.
Right.
I won't name any names, but there's a few of them that don't want to be. No, thank you.
I can imagine with Scott Vail, caddy for Keegan Bradley. Keegan playing with Tiger Woods tomorrow at the PGA Championship. Valhalla, it's long. The rough is nasty. Everyone's doing the rough test. How do you see this playing out? What kind of score do you think wins this?
It depends how the PGA sets it up. There's a couple of tees that are, new tees as opposed to previous years, but they do a fair job of setting up the golf course, and they don't want it to be like a U.S. Open at, even par. So I anticipate them moving up some tees, and the greens are soft and they roll really good. So there's a tough stretch on the back nine, 14, 15, 16, that'll play a pivotal factor. I think if guys play those three holes really well and capitalize on the par fives, that's the big thing. Being able to hit the par fives in two, because they are reachable. It's a quirky one on the front nine, but I think I think probably 10 to 15 under will win it. Whether pending. So, yeah, I think if guys beat up on the par fives, there'll be some scores out there.
Scotty, what do you make of your Leafs? We got to get you out of here quickly, but what do you make of your Leafs? Where do you think they need to go?
Well, I thought maybe they would start at the top and get rid of that, and then go from there. So I'm hoping that Rod the Bod gets in, and maybe Carolina loses tomorrow. That would be my pick. I'd love to see him whip those boys into shape and get those specialty teams going.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir here, man. You're preaching to the choir. We're all over Rod Brindamore finding a way to get up here, but we're not holding our breath either. Enjoy it. It's going to be a whirlwind down there in Louisville. So have a great weekend, Scott. We appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate it. Love the show, and keep doing what you're doing.
You got it. There's Scotty Vail, the caddy for Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley, Adam Scott, Tiger Woods tomorrow. So
that's got to bring some juice, man. When you're
huge,
huge, even for Scotty, who's the coolest guy.
Yeah,
like I play golf with him at Christmas time. I go down to Georgia, and he lives on the course, and he comes out. And he'll just like caddy a little bit, like this is where you got to hit it, and he'll read putts with that silly thing they do, and he'll be like, just putt it there. He's just a great guy, man. He's just a really cool guy.
I'm telling you, man, he had a vibe going at Augusta.
Oh, he's got a vibe. Like he's well respected and well liked from everyone out there. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah. Awesome. He had a great look going, man. Like 3 buttons done up, tops, no shirt, chest hair flying, loving life at Augusta. All right, Corey Schneider, role play level of concern coming up. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.